Diego Soccer had a rough week last week. SDFC lost to Colorado. The Waves lost to Kansas City. And I also had a really rough week last week too. But this is a new week and it's time for all of us to bounce back. Our San Diego Football Club is going against the number 2 team in the Eastern Conference. And they're the number 4 team overall in the MLS on points. San Diego, we took a little bit of a slide. We're now number 3 in the West, and overall we're number 9 on points in the MLS. Is SDFC going to repeat the performance against Colorado? Wait, who does Charlotte FC have on their team? And does SDFC get the win, bounce back, and put the MLS back on notice? We're going to get into all of that and more. I'm Mike Gio on the Penalty Kick podcast. But before getting into any of that, I just want to do a really quick shout out. Shout out my brother Dimitri. He was on my show, a couple episodes ago. He's the writer, the creator of SDFC Nation. If you have not done so already, look up SDFC Nation. Go read what he's putting down because he's putting down a lot of good work. He's doing a lot of great things, and he just got picked up by the East Village Times to be a contributor for SDFC News for them. So go support SDFC Nation. Congratulations, Dimitri. Can't wait to have you back on the show. But let's get into this. We are going to play Charlotte FC. Charlotte FC looking like they got a squad. They're number 5 in the MLS Power Rankings. San Diego FC, we're number 6. So it looks like it's going to be a tight game as there's only 2 points in between the teams. We have 16 points. They have 18 points overall. They did start the season a little bit slow. They tied to Seattle, which is a team we absolutely mollywopped. So they had a little slow start in the beginning of the season, but their last 5 games, they've won 4 of those, and they only lost 1 over that 5-game span, and that was to Colorado, a team we obviously just lost to as well. Charlotte, they really got some ballers. They got some players on that squad. They're going to test our back line. They're going to test our resolve because they have some attacking players, and that's really where they make their money. Their front 3 is really dangerous. They got a really good striker, and they got, a couple really good wingers and one winger that's absolutely phenomenal. But I'm going to throw up some stats. Let's get into some stats. That's where we start the story, but that's not where the entire story is written. But I did find something interesting. First, they have 13 goals this season, 2 less than us, but not far off. Their goals against, they got 7, we got 9. So they're a little bit better defensively goal-wise this year. But the stat that really tells me like a story, tells me something I can really dive into and look into as why this is happening. SDFC has 13 assists on 15 goals. 13 assists on 15 goals. Every goal we score is pretty much off an assist. We have great build-up play. We set our players up for high percentage shots and goal-scoring opportunities. We're pretty much putting the ball on a plate a lot of the times with slick passing, movement, and speed. Very intricate in the way we play. Beautiful build-up play, right? But Charlotte, this is a stat. Charlotte has 6 assists on 13 goals. 6 assists on 13 goals. That tells me something. They have individuals on their team that can score without needing a pass. They don't need to be put through to score a goal. They can literally run at you as a singular player and make it happen all by themselves. They have individuals who can just make it happen. I think we have Chucky, who to me is one of those players you can kind of just get him the ball and then he can do something to create a chance, to create a goal. For him as well, create an assist. That is not so much Charlotte. They're not exactly that type of team. Yes, they're very attacking. Yes, they have very similar goals against, but the way they get their goals is a little bit different. And you know who one of those individuals who can make something out of nothing? Have y'all heard of Wilfred Zaha? I don't know if, all y'all watch international soccer or specifically in this case, the English Premier League, but Wilfried Zaha has played for Crystal Palace for a long time, a team in the English Premier League. I won't say that Crystal Palace is this dominant team. They're not a Man City. They're not an old Man United. They're not Arsenal currently. They're not, a Liverpool. They're not any of that. But what I can say is the Premier League, the Prem, is the best league in the world, top to bottom. Even the bottom teams are really, really good. And just to be in that league is insane. But even more on the Wilfried Zaha train, he was the star of that team. And not only was he the star of that team, he's been there for, a while, played for Crystal Palace for a while. He was the person that can get them a win because sometimes Crystal Palace was battling relegation. They were at the bottom of the league. And Wilfried Zaha would be the reason that they'd stay in that league. That is really hard to do for one player to show out that much. Yes, obviously he needed other players sometimes to get him the ball and those types of things. But if you can show up as a singular player and be like the face of the team, that says a lot because there's 11 people on your team on the field at one time. So he can score on his own and he can just get it done. That is something to watch out for. An update, a news update, he had surgery on his thumb and he missed last game. However, I was reading they expect him back for SDFC. So that is a player you're going to need to watch out for. You're going to need to tag. They also have this kind of like scat wing, very quick player. Think of a Dreer or an Angel. I really think he plays like a Dreer. Abada, he is a goal-scoring monster. He's very quick. He can play. He plays on the right wing. So he is very, very similar to a Dreer. So you need to watch out for him. But a player that I think has been playing even better than Zaha for this team this year, Ajiman. Ajiman is a big striker, 6'4". But not only is he a big striker, he's fast and he's strong. He can be the person that literally just gets the ball and runs at the defense and, again, kind of does it himself. But also, he's really good at timing his runs for balls in behind. And then, obviously, since you're that big, you can push people around. You can keep the defender away from the ball because you have long legs, you have long arms, you can push them off. And then that gets you really good goal scoring opportunities. In the game I was watching against Charlotte against Montreal, this dude, he should have had like 3 or 4 goals, but he set up the goal to win the game 1-0 for the team. But he is dangerous and you can't miss him on tape. You cannot miss him on tape. He showed up more than Zaha. I will say I do think Zaha has had a little bit of a slow pace of coming into the MLS. He only has 2 goals and 2 assists this year, which is going to be sluggish for him. I just think he has a little bit of a problem kind of understanding the players, the dynamic, and just the difference in the league. But you don't want to wake up a sleeping giant. Another person we need to watch out for is in their midfield, Beal. He's the person that passes in between the lines, sets a lot of things up. But also, he has goals. He can literally run at, again, these, our defenders and, cause problems, especially if he's a late run or if our defense is tracking, those 3, great forwards, then maybe he finds space in behind. So there is individual brilliance on that side of the ball. But again, if we look at that assist to goal ratio, our squad, we play as a team. We play based on our tactics. We play based on an ethos, a philosophy. And I still think we still have great individuals, but that's not what we're predicated on. We're not predicated on 1 or 2 people just making the entire difference, even though Chucky Dreer can be those people. We're really good at building out from the back and passing, smooth passing, good build-up play. We're more a cohesive unit. We're more of a team. Charlotte, last game, used a 4-2-3-1, but that was without Zaha. When Zaha is playing, they use a 4-3-3. I do think they will use a 4-3-3 this game just because every game that Zaha's been in, it's been a 4-3-3. But I don't think we'll be surprised like we were against Colorado. Colorado usually played like a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, but they ended up playing a 4-4-2 against us and really set up more defensively and really put on the press, put us into turnovers. I think this is going to be a more open game, and I think this is going to be a fast game. I think both teams want to run. So knowing that, what are the weaknesses that we could potentially take advantage of against Charlotte FC? Because obviously I named not only 3 great front players, I named a really great midfielder. They've only allowed 7 goals this year, which is better than what we've allowed. So where are the weaknesses on the squad? It was really odd. Sometimes you see the tape and there's like, oh, this is one of their holes. This is two of their holes. And, there's multiple holes. But there was one big glaring hole for Charlotte FC when I was watching the tape. They do not play crosses well. Their defense stays static when the ball is crossed. And I'm not only talking about crosses in open play, whether they're crosses in the air or crosses on the ground. I'm also talking about corners. There was multiple times where there was an in-air cross, and you just see the Charlotte FC defenders looking at it and not even jumping, which led to their opposition getting open headers and putting the ball in the back of the net sometimes, but also a couple missed opportunities which the other team should have had. So I think we can take advantage of that, especially if we play on the wings. So if we can go, through the wings of Chucky and Dreer and get in crosses, maybe late post runs, or Valakari in the middle. Valakari's been pretty good on headers as well. Or if we get set pieces or corners, get McVeigh, McNair in there, get the big guys in there so we can hopefully get some headers home. But also on our wingbacks, on our defensive wingbacks, can they come and overlap and then get crosses in? I think that is the way we beat this team. I think that's how we need to play as a team. That's what we need to do. Another thing that I did see, their front three are really great offensive players. None of them really want to track back, which means that's 7 players on defense in front of the goalies, especially if you hit them on a break. That gives us numbers. That gives us space for countering, for attacking. So we need to watch out for, obviously, their attack, but once we get the ball, go, because their front three is not going to want to run back. Their traditional striker doesn't run back because that's not what strikers do. Zaha doesn't run back because he's a star and he's played in better leagues, and he's just not going to do that type of work. And then Abala, yeah, he might come back, but it didn't show up that much on tape. So that is another place we can take advantage. But what I don't want to see is our team start slow, because against Austin FC in Colorado, we kind of allowed them to dictate the beginning, which then put us on the back foot. And it was just too little too late, right? Austin FC, the entire second half, we were trying to score. Obviously, couldn't put it in the back of the net. That one, maybe a little less so. But Colorado, it was 3-1 and it ended 3-2. But it was only us putting on real big pressure on them in the last 10 minutes of the game. So we need to put pressure on them. And Charlotte had the keeper of the year last year, Kalina. So that is something we need to put pressure on. We can't just have 1 or 2 opportunities like we did against Zach Steffen. We need multiple shots on goal. We need to pepper the goal as much as possible, put some of those in the back of the net. What we do need to watch out for is Charlotte likes to press, and they're very opportunistic in their press. They don't obviously press the entire game. No team does that ever since Liverpool and Klopp. I mean, they pressed most of the game, and that was just insane. But it's really hard to sustain that 90 minutes. But we struggled with composure when Colorado pressed us. We had really bad turnovers when Colorado pressed us. So we need to not have that sloppiness this game if we want to win. And so what are the keys to winning this game and SDFC bringing home that W from North Carolina? Defense needs to step up. When we've only allowed 1 goal or less in a game this year, 4 wins, 2 ties, 0 losses in 6 games. Defense needs to bounce back and not allow more than 1 goal. But this also includes not turning the ball over and putting our defense in bad positions as we did last game. Then cross the ball. Get as many crosses into the box as possible, whether they're in the air, whether they're on the ground, whether they're from corners or set pieces. Put pressure in the box and the 6-yard box. Create a little bit of chaos. And again, their defense does not handle those well. They are so susceptible to balls being crossed into the box and not reading or tracking the runners. And then make sure they know team is greater than an individual or individuals. SDFC needs to show that we're the better drilled team. We play better with each other than they do. We have better tactics, and we like making each other shine on our team. This is a team sport, and so the team will win if we implement our game, if we don't allow those individuals to take over. So that's what we need to do to win this game. And this should be a fun watch. I think this is going to be a fast game. This is going to be an open game. So we're going to get to see a lot of, I think, offense. But again, we need to manage that as well. Also, it's going to be fun because there's a block party happening on Commercial Street. So that is going to be fun. Hopefully y'all are going to be there. I'm thinking about going. I'm trying to get there. So let's go. Let me know if you're going to go. Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know what you think about this next matchup. Let me know if you're going to go to the watch party and where y'all going to be, what time, what y'all going to be doing out there. But let's let the good times flow in San Diego and go bring back that W from the NC. So who I got winning this game? The winner of this game will be SDFC. The reason I say that, every time SDFC has lost, in my mind, I'm like, oh, there's holes. Maybe they're going to revert to the mean. I mean, they're an expansion team. But every time I've said that, they've came back and won. So I'm big on patterns, understanding patterns. I think we're very resilient. I think we have a very intense team as far as being competitive. So I love that. Yes, there are holes on this team. Obviously, they showed up a lot, in even our past 2 games. But every time after a loss, they have won. So I'm going to go 2-1 SDFC with the win. And I'll give you this. Valakari and Chuki are going to be the ones with the goals in this game. Let's get SDFC up on game. Let's pop off at the watch party this weekend. I'm your host, Mike Gio, and I'll see y'all in the post game.